international effort. We're going to continue as the UK to be global in our outlook, as you would expect us to be. Steve Swinford, The Times.
Prime Minister, you've previously called for an amnesty for migrants who are in the UK illegally. How comfortable are you with the idea of sending asylum seekers overseas for processing? And Professor Whitty, the latest figures suggest that just 1 in 16,000 tests on school children have come back positive. How confident are you that we'll be able to proceed with the easing of the lockdown on April the 12th?
Steve, the first point about the illegal immigration into the UK is that, and you're perfectly right. I think when people have been here for a very long time and haven't fallen foul of the law, then it makes sense to try to regularise their status. But that actually is pretty much what already happens under the existing rules. But when it comes to what the Home Secretary was setting out, I want to be clear. The objective here is to save life and avert human misery, because people are crossing the channel who are being fooled, who are being conned by gangsters into paying huge sums of money, risking their lives. People have died making this, trying to make this crossing, and it is a deeply repugnant traffic that we need to stop, and that's why the Home Secretary has set out the tough series of proposals that you've seen. But the objective is a humanitarian one and a humane one, which is to stop the abuse of these people by a bunch of traffickers and gangsters. That's what we're trying to do. Thanks very much.
I was on schools, PM.
Sorry, Chris. Schools.
On schools, just 3 points to make. The first of which is a huge thank you to teachers and other school staff who have done a really terrific job in making it as safe as possible for all children to come back. And remembering, of course, that children are not the group who are heavily affected by this infection, but they are important potentially in the transmission. And what they're doing in the schools is really going to benefit the students, the staff, and wider society. In terms of, we are expecting that schools going back will put some upward pressure on R. We've said that right from the beginning. That was an accepted thing that is likely to happen. But the roadmap was planned with that possibility absolutely in mind when the Prime Minister announced it. And what he also said, and this is just reiterating what he said, was he wants, and ministers want, to be based on data, not dates. And we have not yet got to the point we can see the full impact of the schools being open again. And therefore, what we will need to do is to re-look at the data once it comes in. But it takes a while for the data fully to reveal itself and to be properly analysed in a way that the Prime Minister and other ministers can make a decision. So it is important that we stick to this data, not dates approach. But there's nothing at the moment that is flashing red lights beyond what you'd expect, which is, of course, when there are schools open, there is slightly greater possibility of transmission. We'll just have to see what the data show.
Thanks. I just say, Steve, on schools, I was actually at a school a primary school in my constituency today, and the feeling there was they were so glad to be back. It was obvious from what all the pupils said, and I want to echo what Chris said. I want to thank all the teachers who've done an amazing amount of work getting their schools ready. All the parents who put up with lockdown for so long and worked so hard. And I think I'm right in saying that the attendance today is actually higher than we would normally expect it to be at this time of year, and it was very, very good to see the enthusiasm for being back at school and the steps that schools are still taking and rightly taking to ensure that it's COVID secure. Mesa Hall of the Express.
Thank you, Prime Minister. If I can ask Professor Whitty, have you seen any evidence that the suspension of the Oxford vaccine in some European countries has had any impact here in terms of people not turning up for appointments or perhaps asking for an alternative if they do? And Prime Minister, next week is the anniversary of the start of the first lockdown. I think you've said that you'll privately observe a minute's silence, as the Marie Curie charity has asked people to do. Should we see it as a national day of commemoration for those that we've lost in this pandemic? And have you given any more thought to a permanent memorial to them?
On the question you asked me, I mean, there are anecdotal reports which I'm sure will be accurate that in some places a few people have not turned up immediately after they heard the news. I suspect a lot of them will think about it, see the very reassuring data that the MHRA has given that Dr. Rain laid out earlier, the very reassuring points that the World Health Organization made, the very reassuring things that the European Medicines Agency made, and the overwhelming view of the medical and nursing and other health professions. And they will realise that this is something that, having had a pause for thought, they want to do. But the numbers were very small who did that. Actually, almost record numbers have been going through in terms of numbers of people taking up the vaccine. Overall, there is no evidence of a significant problem that people do not want vaccination. And anybody who is doubtful about this, I would encourage them just to think through the dangers of COVID, how common it is, and the safety of the vaccines. This is something that absolutely is in their interest as well as everyone around them's interests for them to take.
Yeah, and Mace, on the anniversary, of course, I'll be marking it, as I'm sure millions of others will around the country. And on the idea for a national memorial, yes, we will certainly be pursuing that, and a lot of good suggestions have already come in, and you'll be hearing more about that in due course. Let's go to Alex Brown of the Scotsman.
Good evening. For you, Prime Minister, when will cross-border travel be relaxed enough for the 800,000 Scots in England to go home and see their families again? And secondly, do you think Nicola Sturgeon should resign if she broke the ministerial code? And would you expect the same of your own ministers?
Well, Alex, I hope very much that we'll be able to move around as one United Kingdom according to the timetable set out on the roadmap, and I hope that everybody will show common sense in application of the rules around the country. And as I've said earlier on, there's no change to the roadmap as a result of anything to do with the vaccine rollout, which continues well. And I think your second question was an attempt to get me quite properly to get me to comment on something which I think is properly and rightly left to the Parliament in Scotland to address and to the Scottish electorate. Okay, everybody, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.